Hi everybody and welcome back to the Ben Taylor podcast, the home of marine industry insights. This episode is brought to you by Superyacht Services Guide, a trusted directory used by many captains and crew all around the world. And MIMO is one of those services. So I'm here with Jason. Good to see you, Jason.
Nice to meet you, Ben.
So let's have some context. What's MIMO all about? What's your kind of background, all that kind of stuff?
Fantastic. So MIMO is all about multi and multi-art connectivity within the superyacht industry. And my background is an AVIT officer engineer on board a superyacht.
Okay, and give us a little bit more background. So you were crew on board. How long, what kind of tasks and things were you delivering and dealing with? And just a bit more depth to the story in the background.
Absolutely. So I started off in yachting, walking the docks as many a crew do in 2008, trying to look for day work. Handed out my CV to loads of yachts in Palma, and actually one captain came back to me and said, "Oh my gosh, you're an AVIT guy," because before coming into yachting, I was in London for 7 years doing commercial IT and a corporate IT.
Right. Okay. Right. So they thought, like, you know, this isn't just some bloke walking down the dock. It's someone with background in AVIT, and at that time, AVIT would have been a huge thing on board yachts as well.
Well, I think IT was just stepping into the new era because they still had a single network. The owners, the guests, the crew all shared one VLAN. So there was no real security or separation of traffic between the crew and the guests and the owner networks or the ship's operational networks. So I came on board, obviously, within a corporate IT. You've got separation of your departments, your marketing, your HR, your finance, your legal, your technical. So it was an opportunity to see within yachts that actually the IT was about 10 to 15 years behind of what was on a corporate IT structure for shore-based companies.
Right, okay. And is that a designated ETO role? Is that purely everything you did and that was your department?
No, so coming into the industry, as I said, was trying to get on board just to do deck work.
Right, okay.
But this captain, he noticed my CV. He's like, "Oh, we have issues with our printer. We have issues with our network. Can you come have a look at it?"
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Had a look, and I was like, "Wow, this is like a small home office setup."
Yeah.
Like a SOHO.
I suppose it is on board, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was a really good in to see, actually, this is something I can do. This is a passion of mine. This is what I enjoy. It's what I love doing. I can make a difference.
Yeah.
I have some meaning.
Yeah, and you can be on board a boat.
And that was, I was like, oh, wow, I didn't even realize there was a role for an AVIT officer on board yachts. And that's where the journey began, trying to see how can you implement your passion, your skills, and make a difference within the industry.
Okay, and fast forward, a similar role today, it's 2025.
Yeah, 2025.
What kind of scope do those roles now have to look after? What does that look like?
Well,
I'm hoping you say the printers have gone, but I have actually seen some printers on the bridges of some boats. They're still there.
Surprising. We still have a lot of paper on board yachts. But thankfully, the day of printing newspapers is gone.
Right.
Because there was a day where you'd have to print on an A3 printer, Xerox, or
ready for the guests in the morning. Here's your newspaper. It's today's date.
Print your newspaper, and you'd have the same type of paper, the same color, to make it feel like a Financial Times or and so forth. But those days, I mean, there are still people who do that, but by and large, most paper is everything's going digital.
Yeah, and so for core functionality of the professional operations of the yacht, taking the guests' needs and wants out. That's digitized almost entirely.
The role is multifaceted. Now you've got so much more technology. Your ETO. So let's just break up the role a bit. ETO is electro-technical officer. So you're looking after anything with a plug, with anything to do with electrics, the generators, your alarm and monitoring system, your navigation systems, your GMDSS. Your gas detection, your firefighting, your watertight doors. That's anything to do with electrics is the ETO.
Right, okay.
And then the second is the AVIT, the audio, visual and information technician. And as an AVIT engineer, you're looking after the internet on board, you're looking after your network with your Wi-Fi, your switches, your audio entertainment systems, so your cinema, your projectors, your TVs, your amplifiers, your UHF radios on board, your DECT or Cisco wireless phones. So the AVIT role is all-encompassing, and the ETO role again is all-encompassing.
Yeah.
On some of
But
the
they are-
yachts,
but they are different,
you'll have an ETO/AVIT, and they're in charge of both
Right. Okay.
facets.
Yeah.
On the larger yachts, they will split out the
Yeah. They
crew.
become an individual.
They'll
person,
become
yeah,
individual roles. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And I've got something in my head. So back in the day, as I understand, I don't know if this is still the case. There was like a server stack. So an area of the boat would be all the computer servers in one
like
area.
A server room.
Yeah,
or
basically.
an audiovisual.
Yeah, or whether it was like, a case or a chest or a full room.
Yeah.
Is that still the case? Was that ever the case?
Yes, you do need a place to store the equipment, and that's normally in a central equipment, a center. Call it a server room.
I was going to say that's essentially a server room. Yeah.
On the larger yachts, it would be air conditioned and humidity controlled.
Yeah, it'd be cooled and everything. Yeah,
everything will be connected to a backup, a UPS. So you have a stable current on board. So that would be your main equipment center or your MAC. And then you've got like a local equipment, a closet, and that will be in each room.
Right. Okay.
On some of these cabins, you'll have a local equipment cabinet, or it's sometimes behind the wardrobe, or so you'll have your amplifier, your Apple TV, your local equipment devices.
And have those areas become smaller or bigger?
I would definitely say the AV rooms now are getting smaller. Primarily because technology has moved on.
Yeah, it's more powerful. It's smaller. Like the actual hardware is smaller, but
a lot of services on the yachts are now being cloud-based.
Right.
So you don't need to have satellite TV boxes, which I've been on a boat with. It would literally take up 2 racks of space just for your satellite TV boxes, and then you've got one satellite TV box for one region and for Europe, and another satellite TV box solution for the US, for example.
Okay.
So you would have these racks and racks of satellite TV decoders, which are now almost
they're
non-existent.
redundant, right?
Yeah, they're redundant because now you've got IP streaming. You can watch all your content online through the internet, through a device which is multi-region. It can be used in Europe, it can be used in the US, it can be used globally.
But at the same time, we're using more technology. So even though it's smaller and more powerful, we want more of it.
Yeah,
so it kind of balances out.
Interestingly, now with audio and IP streaming, the internet has been a huge spike in the usage of internet and the reliance. I mean, the internet has been absolutely crucial for all of yachting since we had the VSAT come on board, and the 4G or 3G, 4G, and now 5G.
Yeah.
But with the LEO constellations out there providing really affordable internet, high-speed internet with low latency, that's a complete game changer.
Yeah.
So all these legacy racks, sat boxes, no longer needed, and it's a massive cost saving as well, because now you don't have to have all that space inside the yacht dedicated to all your equipment. A lot of it can be cloud-based. For backups and storage and email. Also, your email is now all going into the cloud, so you don't have to have an onboard Exchange server to store all your email. You don't have to have onboard backup server. You don't have to have onboard video libraries to actually store your a video on demand. As long as you have a stable internet connection, everything can be in the cloud. So it reduces the maintenance on board, it reduces stress for the ETOs, AVITs on board, the chief engineer, captain, depending on the size of the vessel. It simplifies. IT is definitely being simplified. It goes even a step further with the Wi-Fi on board. You can now have all your Wi-Fi access points, everything hosted in the cloud. So again, it reduces the actual physical footprint of hardware needed on board a vessel, and it can be in the cloud.
It's huge because space is absolute gold dust.
Space is a premium.
It needs to be recreational areas. That's the purpose of the yacht.
That space can be
so if it takes away from that,
and be given to the crew and the guests on board.
Okay, and give me an idea of how the MIMO Go case has gone since launching it. A couple of months back, you did this really cool launch, and just give us some context about what the MIMO Go case is and how it's being used ever since the launch.
Absolutely. So the MIMO Go case is literally a multi-in, multi-out case, which provides a LEO connection with the Starlink Mini. It provides 3G, 4G cellular connection with a really powerful router inside. It's got power tool batteries inside the case that are completely modular, so you can take them out. You can have Milwaukee or Makita batteries inside the suitcase, and it's completely portable. You can pick it up and go and switch it on. So the use case came out of a client that was going to an extremely remote location. They couldn't install the cellular equipment or the satellite equipment on board the tender because it needed to go inside the boats. They didn't have the headroom. So it was so the option was to have a portable solution in a case that could be carried around. And the beauty of that is they had a few tenders. So they could have 1 or 2 cases, and those cases could be literally hot swapped to the tenders. So they were going down to Antarctica, around the icebergs. They were going to be out of VHF and UHF range of the mothership, and they needed their ribs to be connected to the internet at all time.
Right, and this meant, I've seen one of the Go cases. It's literally like, it's
in a rugged,
small,
waterproof case, and it comes in various colors. You can have black, khaki,
but it's a
yellow,
carry in
orange,
one
red.
hand kind of small compartment space on board a tender.
Exactly.
And it just kind of slots in. Happy days. Go.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I want to kind of, everyone seems to think, just get a Starlink and you're absolutely sorted. Why is that not the case?
Well, Starlink has been absolutely groundbreaking in every aspect for connectivity on board. I mean, they have revolutionized connections and internet.
Yeah, it's powerful. It's good.
It's powerful. It's incredibly
There's
powerful.
no taking away from that. But why isn't it?
That said, the Go
just a
case
Starlink?
is also cellular. So it combines both a LEO and cellular together to give you a more stable connection. On cellular, if you're within range, you'll have a much higher upload a connection, and then overall you'll have a more stable connection. You could also use the Go case if you were in a shipyard and you'll be in a shed, but the cellular will penetrate through and you'll still have cellular coverage in a shipyard. With Starlink, you need a direct line of sight with the satellites. So inside a shed, under a cover, it will not work. But cellular will.
Right, okay. So when you really start to think about all the different situations a yacht could be in,
it's diversity,
you start to think, well, actually, you're not always in the middle of nowhere out at sea in beautiful blue skies, where Starlink's going to be perfectly good.
Exactly.
Actually, there's all these different contexts where the situation's different and the connectivity methodology to make sure you have a reliable connection needs to be different. It needs to have all these different options and pick the best one and use that.
Absolutely. So within the case, you have the flexibility that you can use it just with Starlink.
Yeah.
And you can also use it just with cellular.
Okay.
If you're using it just on Starlink, you get around about 22, 23 hours of continuous use on the Starlink. If you switch off the Starlink and only use the cellular, you have around 60 hours of usage.
Okay.
So the cellular uses a lot lower power, a lot lower current. So with the 6x4 amp hour batteries, you've got a lot more
so you can use
power.
it for longer. Yeah, simple. Yeah. I want to talk about different regions of the world, because there are regions, for example, that don't allow Starlink and other technologies, and they have just, different circumstances. So what differences more generally for connectivity happen compared to, the Mediterranean, compared to the Caribbean, compared to the Red Sea, compared to, Antarctica, middle of nowhere? What are the differences? What are the risks that yachts need to consider and know about before they venture off into these regions?
So I think in future we're going to have diversity with LEO connections. Of course, VSAT is still going to be there, but depending on different regions, you have restrictions on some of these services. So, for example, Starlink is only going to work in its authorized territories. It's not yet global.
Yeah.
So it needs
it's
to
not
wait.
The whole world.
It's not the whole world.
Yeah.
And the same issues with cellular. Cellular isn't available out in the ocean.
Because it needs a cell tower, right?
Yeah, it needs a cell tower.
Yeah.
It's a terrestrial-based communication. So as long as you're within line of sight of a cell tower, you should be able to get 3G, 4G. If you're close to shore, 5G signal.
Yeah.
Some of the interesting future developments, it's going to be multi-LEO. So you'll have multiple low Earth orbit solutions on board. So at the moment we have Starlink.
Yeah.
It works amazingly.
Yeah. Amazon's
it doesn't work
working
everywhere.
on another one, right?
Yeah, so Amazon Kuiper is coming.
That was the one, yeah.
Kuiper is coming. We have to wait and see how they build out the network, how they do the pricing structure, the modeling, if they're appointing resellers, direct to consumer, I mean, all
Right,
that's
that's
still
got to
open.
unfold. That's going to happen. Yeah.
It's exciting times. It's
Yeah.
really exciting times. But one that a lot of people actually, it's getting a lot of traction is OneWeb. So
Okay, yeah,
OneWeb is another LEO constellation, has around 636 satellites in orbit, in a low Earth orbit. That is working in some of the areas where Starlink doesn't work. Right. So we're seeing now already that actually people are adopting multi-LEO strategy for their connections. Multi-LEO and cellular, because there are times where, you know what, you're going to be in port. It's going to be far cheaper to be on cellular than it is on some of these multi-LEO plans. And if you want diversity, then it's great. You've got
it's
cellular,
going to give you reliability. It's going to give you
Starlink.
options. Happy days.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. And are there any? Do other regions introduce risk from like a security perspective, or is it fairly universal that as soon as you're connected, you're effectively connected to everywhere? So that's the level of cyber risk.
So from a cyber risk point of view, you obviously need to secure your equipment.
Yeah.
Don't just broadcast your SSID with an unencrypted password or with a weak security so somebody can hop onto it.
Yeah.
From a cybersecurity point of view, within the MIMO solution, the way we aggregate and bond all your connections together, we provide a static IP for the client or an IP of their choosing. So they can go back to the US or back to the UK or even back to their own HQ, their own IT HQ.
Yeah.
It's a completely closed loop solution, and the customer has control of their traffic from end to end.
Yeah. Okay. And I don't think I've understood that fully, but I hope people will.
So we use a VPN protocol from WireGuard. It's called Phantom.
Okay.
And what that does, it takes multiple WAN inputs. So you can have a cellular, you can have Starlink, you can have OneWeb, you can even have VSAT. You can bond all of them together or fuse them all together.
Yeah.
And then all the traffic goes to the client's endpoint. The benefit of having a bonded connection is that you have one IP address. So you can have all your IP packets going to different WAN links depending on the WAN link's saturation levels. But in terms of the application on board, say your banking app or your streaming app, it's only seeing one exit IP address.
Right. Okay. So
it will not flag that you're changing your IP address constantly.
Yeah, because it looks like 5 different users are using different apps when actually it's just the same user.
It could have one app logged in on one IP address, but if you do not fuse it, then the app, say your banking app, will say, we've detected your login on this IP.
Right. Yeah.
We've detected you on that IP. It will log you out.
Yeah, it's as if you've got 5 iPads and going on each one.
Yeah.
Ish? Close? No,
five,
not quite.
5 iPads with each iPad on its own IP address.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So it will say, we don't like that, so it would drop you off. Yeah. So what we do is we provide a more stable connection. We'll have a much higher download and a much higher upload, but you'll have diversity within your connection. So think of it like a multi-lane highway. Yeah. You would have multiple lanes, slow, medium, fast. Yeah. You have much better flow of traffic. So if one lane gets saturated, the other lanes will keep going.
Yeah.
And the thing is, the highway is all going to the same destination. You haven't got one breaking out in this suburb, one breaking out in that suburb or in that country or that region. It all goes back. And from a cybersecurity point of view, you will secure your endpoint. So the owner of the yacht, the IT department of the yacht, they will say, you know what, we've got our own infrastructure. We'll host the equipment in our data center, and they will then put a firewall and they can manage that as well internally.
Okay, awesome. Thank you very much for coming on the podcast, Jason.
Thank you very much. Good to see you again and chat. Thank you.
Awesome. Everybody, if you find this content enjoyable and insightful, make sure you're following here to see plenty more of it. All being well, we'll see you next time. Bye for now.
Thank you, mate.